It's midweek. That means it's time to catch up with Connor Pay, BYU team captain, obviously starting offensive lineman for the BYU football program. We talk about how the bye week went and obviously getting ready to head to TCU to take on the Horned Frogs and a whole lot more right here on Locked On Cougars.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, your resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Thank you to all of you who are everydayers with us right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics to treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's J-A-S-E medical.com. All right, please welcome in now team captain, starting offensive lineman for the BYU football program, Connor Pay, back for another visit here on the show. Connor, what is up, my friend?
Not a lot. How are you doing, Jake?
I'm doing great. I've got my son, Nicky. I know you and I caught up last Friday. You were out watching Lone Peak take on Lehigh, so it was good to catch up with you. But pretty good here at the Hatch household. But I guess we'll start here. How did the bye week treat you overall?
Good. It was good. It was good to get a chance to kind of, take a break on my body a little bit, give kind of my joints a little bit of time to recover. And even though we hit it really hard, kind of first half of the week, last week, we practiced really hard. It was good to kind of have the back half of the week where we weren't hitting, to kind of get your shoulders, elbows, fingers, all that stuff, kind of feeling better again, feeling a little more fresh, getting guys back from injury and all that stuff. So, bye week is always good for just like some rejuvenation and a little bit of a pick-me-up to go into the back half of your schedule.
With regards to bye weeks, how close do you guys get to being, I guess, quote unquote, 100% with a week off? Or do you ever get to that point at any point during the bye?
Yeah, I think, one of the big challenges too is who can stay as close to 100% as possible throughout the season.
Yeah.
And I think, that from a physicality standpoint and, from a strength and conditioning aspect, we've actually been improving as the season's gone on. Our numbers have gotten better in the weight room. And so in that sense, I think we're doing really good. But no, a bye week is huge. And obviously you have some of those injuries that it's going to take more than 1 week to, get those guys back. And those obviously suck. But, I think for the most part, we had a lot of guys who were able to kind of get healthy, get back in the mix. And, so I think it was a really good week for us.
Now, obviously, you guys were at TCU during the bye week. We talked about that last week on the podcast, but it's now officially game week. So, do you guys feel like? And this is a question I had just when I was thinking about today's interview. Is there ever a point where you guys feel like you may know too much about an opponent, having 2 weeks to prepare versus maybe just one?
I don't know. I think you can never have too much information about an opponent. It's just kind of what you do with it.
Yeah.
I think if you've just diagnosed it so much to where that's what you're thinking about before every single play, like, into the specifics of trying to anticipate exactly what they're going to do, sometimes that can affect you in a negative way and make you play a little slower and not react as well. But I think, I think it's always nice to have a few extra days and to take in more information, not only about your opposing team, but also taking more information about yourself. On a bye week, doing a little bit of self-scout and stuff like that, so you can, find tendencies, remove them, that type of thing. And but I definitely think that there can be a line where it's, okay, I think that's as much information as we can get before the game is awesome, but not necessarily, just drowning in all that information during the game.
Okay, fair enough. I understand that. Now, obviously, you talked about you're going to spend time with family over the weekend. Did you do anything fun? Did anything pop up that, hey, you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants over the bye weekend?
Yeah, I actually I jumped on a plane. I flew to Los Angeles.
Okay.
went and visited my sister, who's a professional singer out there. And we went to Disneyland for a day.
Okay.
So that was exciting. Then I got back on a plane Friday morning so I could be back for Austin's game. And then, just played a little golf with my parents on Saturday. And, so it was a good weekend. It was a good bye week.
All right. So 2 questions then off of that. Favorite ride at Disneyland, number 1?
Space Mountain for sure, but it was closed. So that sucked. But.
That does suck. So what's number 2 then?
I think I'd have to say the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Okay. So the old Tower of Terror now.
Yeah. And we did like the Halloween one, the Monsters After Dark. That was cool. That was fun. I'd never done that before.
I have not been on it myself. I've heard it's awesome. So I'm glad you guys experienced it. It's pretty cool. I'm a Pirates of the Caribbean guy. That is far and away my number 1.
Great ride.
So that's number 1. All right. Number 2 thing, who won in golf?
Me, for sure.
Right.
For sure. And in my parents' defense, my dad doesn't get to play a lot because he's so busy. And I just bought my mom clubs for her birthday a few months ago, kind of forcing her hand to kind of have to start learning golf. And she's actually enjoying it. She's doing pretty good for only been playing for a few weeks, but she's taking lessons and stuff. And so, hopefully one day down the line when life gets a little less crazy and they can put a little more time into it, we can get some competitive matches going.
Okay, so watch out for Mama Pay. Looks like she's
yes.
For all y'all. That's fun to hear. All right, I want to talk a little bit more about TCU. Obviously, we'll get into the Horned Frogs a little bit. It's an old rivalry that's been renewed. We'll talk about all of that, but we first need to get a word in. We talked about them earlier on today's show, but our friends over at Jace Medical real quick. And Jace has been working with us for months now. The best part is they have provided 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use in a simple case. All it is to take the Jace case is to fill out a simple online form, and in some cases, jump on a quick call with one of their board-certified physicians. You can get ongoing care from their physicians for any treatment-related questions. It's doctor-created and doctor-recommended. The best part about this is helping you don't be caught unprepared. Obviously, a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now, and that's exactly what Jace Case is here for, my friends. They want you guys to check it out. Obviously, we all been watching what's happening in Israel. We all know that there are earthquakes hitting in Afghanistan. Think of all the crazy things, like I mentioned, happening in the world right now. The best part is it can help you guys out in those circumstances with storm shortages, pandemics, reliance on China, and supply chain issues all at various points right now. We all need to be prepared more now than ever. So go online and get $20 off on the life-saving antibiotics from the Jace Medical by using the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. It's a really, really simple way to take care of your family in an emergency situation. Do it with Jace Medical. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at UCCU. UCC mobile banking app is paying your entire family to learn about money. We all need to get smarter about this, and that's where UCCU comes in with Learn to Earn. It breaks down financial topics into fun, bite-sized educational games like quizzes and trivia. Every time a family member completes a topic, they earn points that accrue can be redeemed for gift cards to stores like Amazon, Apple, Sephora, Walmart, Nike, and many, many more. There's age-appropriate content for every member of your family. Y'all can compete against one another, and is available inside the UCCU mobile banking app. So you can play it anytime, anywhere, and the more you play, the more you learn. And of course, the more you learn, the more you earn, courtesy of our friends at UCCU. It's all called Learn and Earn, part of UCCU's award-winning Be Money Smart Youth Banking Program, helping kids, teens, and parents have fun while becoming more financially literate together. It's all courtesy of UCCU. Love where you bank. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you guys for your support of the podcast, as always. Continuing on now here with Connor Pay. And Connor, I'm not sure that you're old enough to remember BYU and TCU squaring off in the Mountain West era, are you?
No, not really.
Okay, so there were some really classic games during that era. I'm sure you're aware who John Beck is, though.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so there's a famous game where John Beck actually had 2 sprained ankles, and he led BYU into Fort Worth like you guys are going to do coming up this weekend. This is back in 2006, so it's been a minute. But he went in there. It was very famous. He had 2 sprained ankles. He goes in and leads BYU to a monster upset of a nationally ranked TCU squad, and it kind of kicked off this back and forth of those 2 schools until TCU made the jump to the Big 12, obviously, and BYU went independent. They had some absolutely classic games, but there are fans out there who will remember that, but if you players, because I guess you're one of the older guys on the team and you don't necessarily remember it, does TCU hold any type of more significance to you guys than any other team in the Big 12 right now?
Not not particularly, other than the fact that they played in a national championship last year.
Yeah.
And so that's obviously something you can't take lightly at all. Is what that team was able to do last year. And so, but I think in terms of any extracurriculars, I don't think there is outside of just the respect we have for them. So
have you watched them pretty closely getting that run to the national title a year ago? Do you have any impressions of them based off of last year versus this year?
I think that team for them last year was a special team, and you could kind of see it in the way they played together. And obviously they've had some ups and downs this year, a little bit. And but they lost a lot of good players to the NFL too. And so that obviously takes its toll. But when you watch them this year, they've had flashes of what that team was. And so it's there, and so you have to respect it and you have to be prepared for it. And they just come off. They kind of got smacked a little bit by Iowa State, and so they're going to be pissed. They're going to be frustrated, and they're going to be wanting to get their season back on track at home. And so they're going to come out ready to roll, and so we need to be prepared for that and be ready to match their energy and exceed it.
Now, obviously, there are reports out there their starting quarterback, Chandler Morris, is out. He will not play in this game. At least there's TBD on when he actually might be back at all. But you obviously, as an offensive line quarterback, how critical is that to the overall just success of an offense? Like, say for you guys, who's got like Keaton Slovis, knock on wood, how difficult would that be?
I mean, it's obviously challenging, because if he's the starting quarterback, it's usually the guy who guys rally around, and who understands the offense the best, can put you in the best positions to be successful. And so, losing a guy like that, obviously is really challenging, and just kind of the timing and the flow with the receivers and all those banked reps that they have with that quarterback, all of that plays a role. And so all of that makes it challenging. But I mean, Max Duggan was a career backup at TCU, and he led them to a national championship. So, I think I don't think that our defense is going to prepare any differently. They're gonna prepare for a quarterback who's going to play very well and be a really good player. And and so I think it doesn't change anything for us on our end. We're going to prepare the same way. But I think there's obvious things that you have to take into account too that'll be a little different with a backup quarterback.
Now, you guys played at Kansas. This will be your first trip to Fort Worth as members of the Big 12. What do you like most about these conference road games? Is there anything in particular that stands out so far in your experience on the road this season?
Not so much. Just some cool environments. I think even though it was outside conference play, Arkansas, that was a fun environment. To be in a pretty condensely packed 75,000 people. That's pretty fun environment. Kansas was similar in that way, and I think I was joking about this with on another show, but just because in some places it's kind of been like, oh, welcome to the Big 12, this is kind of like, oh, welcome, we're going to be all nice to you and all this stuff, blah 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 blah, and we're not going to get any of that at TCU. And none of it do we want as players. That's a Twitterverse thing. But I think this will probably be the most hostile environment we've gone to so far, which as a player is very exciting and it's really enjoyable. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
So you talk about the Twitter thing, like wanting to be all friendly and chummy and whatnot. You guys, so you don't like that as a player. You want it to be hostile.
No, absolutely. It's like, I don't care at all if you have a good experience coming to Provo. Like, we have no interest in that at all.
Yeah.
Like, as fans on fans, like, great, yeah, be good to each other, blah 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 blah. I don't care. Like, do your thing, right? Whatever floats your boat. But for us, we want you to have a pretty poor experience when you come to Provo. As a player, at least, we want that experience to suck. And so I think that's where it's just like a little bit different. And so you see everything that's going on Twitter, like, oh, now we're all friends now. Great. It's like, yeah, none of us feel that way at all. So, but we're glad that the fans do. You guys can handle that. We'll handle the ass kicking. We'll take care of that part, because that's what we want to do. I don't want any of those guys following me on Twitter after the game.
So
I want them blocking me.
I love it. That would be the best answer you have given this season. I love that. Here's the thing. So I was coached by a former BYU offensive lineman in high school. I don't know if you know the name Eli Herring by chance, but
I know Eli very well.
Okay, so
my dad were teammates.
Okay, so Eli coached me in high school, and he said his whole mentality when we played at BYU was similar to what you talked about. He said, okay, fans can do whatever they want in the stands. They can be all chummy, buddy in the stands. My whole thing is I'm going to kick your butt. I'm going to give you a hand, help you up, and say, let's go do that again. And I'm going to make it so annoying to the point, like you kind of mentioned, that they're going to want to just ignore you after the game because you've routinely kicked them in the rear so many times.
Yeah. No, Eli hit it on the head. That's how it is. And that's coming from a guy who gave up millions of dollars because he didn't want to play on Sundays.
True story. And I trust me.
And was still drafted because the team wanted to try to convince him to play.
Hey, Al Davis and the Raiders, man, they think they can do anything. Let's be real. Like that. Yeah. There's some people
except for stay in Oakland.
Yes, that good point. Very
or
good.
Win.
Good point. Also, it's the Raiders. Come on now, just win, baby. That's all that matters. But yeah, they have a problem with the actual just win. All right. So one other thing on the TCU side of it, Connor, is have you ever been to Fort Worth before? Does humidity bug you at all as a player? Does that type of stuff get into your head at all?
No, not really. Because you're wet and sweaty, anyways.
Okay.
It just happens in humidity a little faster. Just gotta hydrate a little better. Just stay on top of it a little bit more. And so like if you handle your business during the week, it usually doesn't make that big of a difference. I've been to a lot of places in Texas. Fort Worth is not one of them. So this will be a first time for me.
Well, it should be a fun one. I know there's a number of BYU fans who are going out there. Did you hear about this whole thing with TCU trying to block BYU fans from buying tickets originally?
Yeah, I remember when that came out originally, and now they can't get anybody to buy their tickets. So now they're opening it up to other, which is weird for me, given the fact that they played in a national championship last year. And it's like, okay, your team dropped a couple games, and now nobody wants to come. Yeah. That kind of feels like a fake fan base to me, just a little bit. But so like, I kind of feel bad for those players a little bit. Where it's like, man, you guys dropped just a couple games and they're just bailing on you.
So I went to a game. You guys are going to play Texas here in a few weeks, and we'll talk about the Longhorns when it gets here. But I went the last time BYU played at Texas, the famous Taysom Hill game where he jumped over the dude. I was on a bus to my car after the game randomly with this Texas fan. I vividly remember this. He is from Fort Worth. Technically, he's just outside of Fort Worth. And he said this to me. He said, Jake, here's the thing. I live right next to TCU. They'll always be my number 2 team. But number 1 is the burnt orange. It's the Texas Longhorns. I think that's a lot of people down there in that area. It's probably exactly that. Or it's A&M.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It does.
When they're winning, it's real easy to support. But when they start losing, you jump off the bandwagon.
Yeah. Y'all all love TCU when they're undefeated.
No doubt about that. All right. And then when it comes to the last part of this podcast, got some great questions that were submitted by some of our listeners over the past week, Connor. We'll get to those. I do have one more on the TCU side of it, and I forgot to mention this earlier. Have you heard the incredible, they call it a frog horn. You've heard the horn that they play when they score in that stadium?
No.
You just, it can get real annoying real quick. Let's just put it that way. It's loud.
Okay, good to know.
It is very loud, but they only really blow it when they score touchdowns. So hopefully you guys will not hear it all that often on Saturday. All right. We will get to some of these listener questions. Got some good ones coming in here. We'll get to that here in a minute. Real quick, do need to get a word in on a new sponsor of ours, our friends over at Prize Picks. And what Prize Picks is it's the most fun that anybody can have with daily fantasy. No matter what you're interested in, football season and with basketball upcoming as well, it is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. You have the skills. You can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. It's really, really simple, my friends. They have quick withdrawals, easy game plan, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. All you got to do is you have to test your knowledge just against the numbers. It's not you competing head-to-head with anybody else to win this money. The best part is you can go online and get started right away. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use the promo code lockedoncollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. Think about that. You can put $100 in, get $100 matched instantly. It's a really, really simple way to do it. So prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use that promo code lockedoncollege for that first deposit match. It's an incredible setup, my friends. Easy way to win money. It's daily fantasy done right. Do it with our friends at Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars a part of your routine, everybody. All right, wrapping up this edition of BYU football with Connor Pay here. And Connor, we're going to start off with an interesting question, and it deals with the BYU Honor Code, but it's not a negative question because they did revamp the Honor Code recently, allowing some of your teammates, if they wanted wear their hair a little bit longer, they can do so. So the question was sent in via Dave and said, Jake, can you ask Connor this? He's a pretty clean-cut dude, and he asked this question. If Connor were allowed to have facial hair, A, would he have facial hair? And B, what would it be?
Yes. Resounding yes.
Okay. What would it be then?
I've been waiting. Just a normal beard.
Okay.
Right? I wouldn't have it super long. I'd keep it trimmed. But I look like a little kid when I'm shaved, and I don't like it.
Okay.
And I've been waiting for that to change for years. Not that I'm like dislike the Honor Code or anything like that, but that's the one thing in the Honor Code I don't necessarily understand.
Well,
and I will back this up. There's a reason for it.
Okay.
I guess if you're listening to this and you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this will make sense. But for those who are not members, there's a place in the temple called the Celestial Room. It's probably the most sacred place we can go as members. I'm allowed to have a beard in there, but I can't walk into the BYU testing center and take a test. That's the part that I don't necessarily understand. That's the one. Everything else in the Honor Code makes sense. I'm happy to follow it, but it's like we allow mustaches. It's like we want to be clean cut and we allow those nasty things. We got dudes walking around campus looking like 70s porn stars, and it's like that's clean cut. Like, that's how we want BYU to be represented. It's like, what are we doing? And you can't have like a well-trimmed beard. I don't really understand that. But as you can see, I'm clean shaven because I signed the dotted line. I agreed to it, so I'm going to follow it. But yes, I would have a beard for sure.
So here's the question: when you're done playing, getting ready for the NFL, are you gonna be one of the guys who shows up back up on campus with the beard going?
Exactly. I showed up coming back from the bye week with a beard. We came back to official activities today, so I had to shave.
All right. Well, hey, as most people know, they probably see this on YouTube. I've got a beard rolling right now. I've had it for the last essentially year and a half, and my wife's the one that actually encouraged me to start growing it. And we both met at BYU, and I'm like you, Connor, when I was there. It's like, okay, well, I agreed to this. Might as well. I've got to live by the rules here. But
yeah,
trust me, I would have done a lot to be able to have while I was a student there. Let's put it that way.
I know.
All right. Okay, so next question. That was great, by the way. And you're right. The whole mustache thing, it'll forever baffle me. But
that's not it. It's not it.
So you're not. But other thing I was going to ask you, you're not a long hair guy. Because I remember you hopped on with us a couple weeks ago and you trimmed it up.
Yeah. No, I mean I am. I do like growing my hair out, but I just did it a little too early this year, and so it got really hot. And so if I had done it maybe a month or two later, then I probably would have left it throughout the entire season just because now it's cooling down.
Sure.
But like we were in training camp and I was like, man, this is hot. So I just decided to cut it off. And I don't know how long I'll grow it this time. We'll see. I'm not too sure.
You need to get one of those, the LSU, those air conditioned helmets that they debuted this year. You need to get some of those.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if we do.
Okay. Well,
I don't think we do.
LSU, I remember this is during the summer. They were, hey, these are air conditioned helmets, and the players put them on. They're like, dude, this is actually like kind of chilly. It's kind of crazy, but I think in the middle of the game, that would actually be a really, really nice thing, I'm sure, to have, where you're just all hot and sweaty, no doubt about that. All right, on to the next question coming in here. This one, let me I gotta click on the right thing. Okay, here we go. Coming in from Sarah. Can you ask Connor what his favorite type of candy is? It's Halloween coming up,
A Reese's Fast Break.
All right. Are we talking like the big, like king size version of those?
What kind of question is that? Obviously.
You're an offensive lineman. I get
Obviously.
it. Yeah. Okay. So
I get paid to be obese.
That's the dream for a lot of us. Let's put it that way. So Reese's Fast Break. I like that. And those are harder to find these days, by the way. I remember when they launched, they were everywhere.
If it's not in a gas station's the only spot, it's not going to be in a store. I don't know what the reason for that is, but.
Okay, so the question is, I guess the follow-up to that is, do you keep them on hand, or you guys like, hey, just wanders into a Maverick and grabs one?
No, I'm not a big candy eater in general, just because, especially during the season when I'm trying to be just because it kind of makes my stomach hurt.
Got it.
A little bit. Same thing with soda. I don't drink a lot of soda during the season just because it just makes me, not because I'm like trying to be super healthy or anything. It just kind of just makes me sick a little. And so, like, sometimes if, like, it seems to be like road trips, I'll always we're stopping at the gas station, grab drinks and snacks for the drive. I always grab a Fast Break or two for the drive. Or I think I had one. I think I did buy one at the airport.
Okay.
When I was heading to LA last week. So I don't know. It seems to be a travel candy for me. I don't know why that is. It just kind of seems that's when I get them.
I think that's how most of us are, really. Let's be real. That's kind of how things go. I'm just going to ask this. So when you do drink soda, what's your poison?
Sprite and Mountain Dew are my top two.
Interesting. Okay.
Sure.
Not mixed, obviously. Those are two separate.
No.
All right. Fair enough.
I bounce between those two.
Those two. All right. So if you need the extra jolt of caffeine, I guess you go to the Mountain Dew. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what 80 milligrams of caffeine is going to do for a 300+ pound person, but I think I need to go more the NOS route if I'm looking for a jolt, more in that 250 to 300 milligram range, or maybe some pre-workout.
All right.
But the caffeine's a nice touch.
So okay, here's the thing. Are you an energy drink guy typically?
No,
I'm
not. Definitely not.
Okay. So you're a lean eater then. Like are you like meat and potatoes type dude? Are you meat and salad? Like, are you pretty lean during the season?
Yes, a lot of times because that's what the food that's provided for us.
Got it.
And so like it's convenient. But when I'm just home, like I love pizza. I eat a lot of pizza. Especially because it's so hard for me to keep my weight on.
Got it.
During the season, and pizza's a little denser. Mm-hmm. So like I eat pizza a lot. My roommates tease me about it. But
so here's the question. Are you guys going to like Papa John's the day after you guys win a game and using that 50% off deal and whatnot?
No, I just ordered Domino's.
Okay.
Those are my guys. And our store close to here sucks so bad. And so the deliveries take forever. So they always send me an email after for a free pizza.
Okay.
So like I haven't paid for a pizza in like 6 months.
Yes. Connor's working it, folks. You know the game
is completely ethical. I don't report it. They send the email to me. Okay? It's completely ethical.
I love it. That's awesome, man. That's the way to do it. So Domino's. Okay, so we're learning some things about you here tonight.
Yeah,
like this. So
I had Domino's tonight. If I'm being completely honest with you.
Gotcha. Hey, by the way, if anybody wants to see an incredible collection of Traegers going all at the same time, is it Dan, the guy who's your nutritionist?
Yep.
So his ability to run it, I don't know how many Traegers he's running at one time. It's like an art form to watch him do that.
I believe it's 15.
The 15? Oh my God.
12 or 15.
Okay, because I've watched him do it, and I watch him just kind of go. He goes from one to the other, just down the line, and he's flipping meat and doing whatever he needs to do. It's an art form. It's absolutely incredible to watch him do his thing.
Yeah, it really is. Because he cooks. Oh man, 400 chicken breasts, 500 chicken breasts, and 150 steaks every day.
Jeez, and so do you guys just get to take what you want essentially of that and just chow down?
Yeah, pretty much. They come in, the NCAA regulates like the size they can give out. So they have whatever you can fit into that regulated container you can take. So,
okay. So are you and the lineman jamming them full of like steak and everything?
Oh yes.
Yeah. All right.
Pushing it to the brim.
All right.
The NCAA gets enough money. We can have one more freaking chicken breast. so that commissioner can go and give himself another $200,000 raise.
Hey, you're not wrong about that. So we got your back on that. No doubt.
Thank you.
All right, Connor. Anything else you need to get off your chest before we go on today's show?
No, was that the end of the listener questions? I can't remember where we were at.
We got a couple more, but we'll hold them for next week. We got plenty.
Okay. Yeah, no, if we're gonna hold them for next week, that's it for me.
All right. Well, we will wrap it up there. Good stuff. So if you want to if the way to Connor's hot, get him some Sprite, get him some Mountain Dew, get him a Reese's Fast Break, and buy him a Domino's pizza. By the way, what toppings are your preferred toppings?
I'm pretty boring. I like cheese pizza.
Oh, really? So you're just a cheese guy, plain cheese?
Yeah, I just think it's good.
Okay.
People make fun of me for that all the time. I mean, like pepperoni sausage is great too. Like I love those pizzas, but
yeah,
I don't know. That's if I had that cheese at the top of my list.
Well, hey, my daughter would be in full agreement with you because she is queen of. I don't care what is on the pizza; she will just pick it all off. She eats the cheese. So she'd be good friends with you. Let's just put it
there. You go. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of BYU Football with Connor Pay. A big thank you to all of you for your support of the podcast, as always. Thank you once again for making it your first listen today, and thank you for all of you for being everydayers with us right here on Locked On Cougars. Until next time, have a great rest of your day, my friends. This has been the Locked On Cougars podcast. See ya.